The sad news for Bears fans who were dreaming is that at least right now that dream needs to be deferred. Not denied necessarily, but deferred.
I think denied is probably looking likely.
That's the probable outcome of this, but we have seen them do this before where they end up trading someone. Trey Smith has been the Chiefs have notified Trey Smith and his camp that they plan to franchise tag him.
March 4th is the deadline. The window opened up last week. So they've notified him. So if he's franchised at a cost of, I think it's $23.8 million for 1 year, that gives them time to hold on to him. And they could either sign him like the Bears did with Jalen Johnson last year, a tag and negotiate and eventually sign.
Which would be in their best interest because they've already kind of got some cap issues. So you want to turn some of that into bonus money.
And I sadly think that's overwhelmingly likely because he apparently loves it there. Creed Humphrey's like his best friend.
If I'm Patrick Mahomes, he's not leaving.
Yeah, Mahomes absolutely adores him. And I would say that's overwhelmingly likely. But to your point, last year, they tagged L'Jarius Sneed, the cornerback, and ended up trading him. So you tag and hold on to him and then try to work it out. And if you can't work it out, then you can trade. But they had another real good young corner in McDuffie, so they felt like they could let go of Sneed. I don't think this is that kind of situation.
I don't either. I think the position importance is a little bit different. Which
is weird to say because you'd think corner over guard historically.
Historically, right. And in most situations, yes. But with the situations that the Chiefs find themselves in, they can't let go of any more good offensive linemen. That's something that's got to get fixed if you're Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like this will reset the market in free agency for guards. Because I think the highest paid guard last year got paid an AAV of about 21.
And we figured Trey was going to set the market and bump it up, and he probably will, even after the showing against the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
And it's kind of weird because most players don't want to be tagged. But if you're tagged, similar to the Jalen Johnson situation, if you're tagged, but you know that the organization they're negotiating in good faith on an extension. It isn't just, yeah, we tagged you, we're totally going to work out a deal, knowing that they really only want you for one more year, and they're just going to use that to keep you for the 1 year. This seems to fit the category. Was he 25? Of you want that guy long term. This is really just something that you can use to buy time to figure out how to make it work.
You mentioned we're going to talk about centers at the top of the hour as part of Ben's vision, but Ben Johnson at the Combine was talking about the interior of the offensive line and was talking about whether a team could be rebuilt on the interior of the offensive line in 1 year. And he's an emphatic yes on that.
Yeah, I think it's been done before, right? I mean, I think there's a number of teams that did that last year. The Panthers come to mind when they went out in free agency and got a couple top guards and really changed the dynamic of their offense. And you saw them clicking there in the second half of the season once they started to really gel. So there's no question that you can change the dynamic of a room just like that. That particular room, it does take a little bit of time for five guys to come together, especially if you have to deal with the attrition and the injuries.
I saw that getting some pushback on social media, like, don't reference the Panthers, bro. And I hope people were watching because it's incredibly obvious in everything that he says that Ben Johnson was, and he was watching. The Panthers were a completely remade team by season's end, and they were running the hell out of the ball. Chuba Hubbard got a brand new contract, and deservedly so.
Averaged almost 5 yards a carry.
And Bryce Young's life was made far more manageable, and he showed incredible strides in the second half of the year.
Sure did. Roll Tide.
In large part, though, due to the fact that they found an identity as a running team.
I would think that Bears fans would have saw it up close. Remember, wasn't that like the first play from scrimmage that he busted for a touchdown run, and then the Bears went on to clobber them?
That's a game I was at Soldier Field. The Bears beat the bejesus out of him, and if maybe that's in Bears fans' mind, like, oh, they can't do anything, whatever. But they found an identity as a running team and found some flow by the end of the season. So that is a sensible thing.
Yeah, and it's okay to kind of pull out different groups, like positional groups, and be like, the positional group was better The team was bad. I'll give you an example. The Bears' defensive backs as a positional group,
very good,
really good.
Yep.
The team's bad,
very bad. I'm a yes and a yes. So the pivot at guard, you got to start looking deeper on that list, and we have and we will. Mekhi Becton, the former tackle, and a guy who just won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, having been moved inside.
He's a big man.
He's a big man. Obviously, Tevin Jenkins, the former Bear, who I think is going to stay a former Bear, frankly.
Yeah, let's talk this through a little bit, because I think Shane was and I are in agreement that if you can bring Tevin back on a minimal deal with a whole boatload of incentives, it would be great. But I don't see that happening. And Tanny brought up an excellent point. The market is going to allow for Tevin Jenkins to probably get more money than what he might get as a Bear.
Don't you think Tevin is ready for something else? I think
if I were Tevin, I would be.
I think he's very much ready for something else.
I wish him a lot of luck. And that's the type of guy where you go, man, I just wish, and he's not gone yet. He's not out the door.
Yeah.
But that's a guy that you go, I wish it would have worked for him here.
The guy that I want is Kevin Zeitler, the former Lion. He's 34 now. I know he's older, but he was real good last year. He was 6th best guard in all of the NFL, even just last year at 34. And you get him for a year or maybe 2. And, oh, by the way, he will teach everybody the way that Ben Johnson wants things done on the offensive line.
I think that's a reasonable idea of an addition. They're also clearly going to be, I would be surprised if they didn't use 2 of those top 3 picks that they have on offensive line.
I want them to. Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I think you'll see 3 new starters on the offensive line, maybe 2 picks and a free agent, or 2 free agents and a pick. However that's going to work out, and the center conversation that we'll have at the top of the hour will inform that greatly.